In this video, I'm going to show you 5 cards that you may remember back in the day, but aren't actually in the GOAT format, so let's get started.
Dual sauce, extra sauce. Hit that subscribe.
Hey everyone, I'm Jesse from Janjo. If you're new to this channel, I upload Yu-Gi-Oh content weekly, so consider subscribing if you like that kind of retro stuff. I also got a lot of merch. I also got a cool Patreon that if you want to request a video for this channel, that's the best way to do so. So in this video, I have found 5 cards that aren't actually in the GOAT format. Now, what is the GOAT format? Well, the GOAT format is a classic era of Yu-Gi-Oh! Within the mid-2005 era. That was kind of the peak of it. That was before the release of Cyber Dragon. It's a very popular format. Arguably, I don't know if it's that arguable, but it's the most popular of the retro formats of Yu-Gi-Oh! And there's a lot of cards that people love about it because the card pool is just, it's there, people know what it is, people remember it, and there's a lot of cards that people remember but don't actually fit in the format because, well, they just weren't released by that point. So the first one I want to talk about is Magician of Black Chaos. Yes, this was a monster Yugi used to defeat Pegasus in the anime. It was also retrained under the Dark Magician of Chaos, which was GOAT format. That was actually released in the beginning of 2004, a whole year before 2005, if my math serves me correctly. But Magician of Black Chaos was actually not released before Dark Magician of Chaos, which is really bizarre. Actually, it's the same thing with Blackluster Soldier. I don't know why they released the more powerful versions first, but we do know, and this is all TCG related, by the way, that the first printing was actually 2007. It was very late for that, and I was kind of surprised about that. Yeah, it's a very sporadic releases, 2007, 12, 15. And the funny thing about this is that in 2003 of all years, in Magician's Force, the card Dark Magician Girl was released, and she has the ability, the effect, where she gains attack points equal to the number of Dark Magicians and Magician of Black Chaos you have in your graveyard. So you weren't able to use half of her potential boost until 2007, 4 years after Dark Magician Girl was released. And that's crazy that the one card you would probably want to run this in, you couldn't really use it unless you had some sort of OCG copy, because OCG got plenty of earlier cards. Yeah, 1999. This one is kind of one of the weird ones. So let's move on to the next one, and we got Exhaud, Master of the Guard, exotic guy. This Exodia looking dude, which I was always surprised he wasn't considered more of an Exodia monster. His effect is for involves earth monsters and sphinxes, completely different from Exodia. But I mean, come on, look at him. He has like the headpiece, he has the build. He must go to the same gym, I guess. But this card I definitely remember. There was a couple of structure deck cards. I think this one and the Samorg Lord of the Storm deck, IIRC, was released around the same time. But I want to talk about this one because this one I found more intriguing to me. This guy was actually released in 2006 in the Invincible Fortress deck. I remember that day. I actually really like that deck because I think Earth Rock decks in the GOAT format have gone a bit more popularity within the last year. Not a tier 1, maybe a mid-tier kind of deck. It's a fun style of deck. I feel like Exhaud really fits well in these kind of Earth Rock decks. The effect isn't too bad. There's a lot of great cards that kind of work around, especially Sphinx monsters. You got Guardian Sphinx, which is great. I mean, the other movie pack ones aren't really good. But every time a Earth monster is flip summon, while this guy's on the field, you can inflict 1,000 damage. And if you have a great stun deck with very powerful cards like Guardian Sphinx or Swarm of, or I don't know, Swarm Scarabs, just, you know, other Earth monsters. I think Golem Sentry is probably released by this point. There's a lot of good stuff you can use with this. I feel like it would fit really well in a GOAT format, but that's the thing, it's not a GOAT format, so you can't throw it in unless you have a fake, you know, GOAT format card pull that goes 2006. By that point, you already have Cyber Dragons and a bunch of other stuff. But Exhaud was definitely the one I was thinking about because, man, I remember Exhaud back in the day, and when I found out, wait a minute, it wasn't actually the GOAT format, it was a little bit after that. That kind of blew my mind a bit. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't lie to you, but you know, yeah, that kind of was crazy. Another one, we've got Armed Dragon level 10. First off, I love the Yu-Gi-Oh wiki, the Yu-Gi-Oh fandom that uses the dual terminal art for this with the shattered thing. I don't know why they just don't pick a normal card art that doesn't have crap all in front of it. But the GOAT format and prior had Armed Dragon. I believe that was 2004, the latter half 2004, I want to say, that introduced Armed Dragon and level monsters in general. But they initially had 3, 5, and 7. Now 10 was actually released a little bit later. Similarly to Exhaud, worldwide it was 2006 in the Duels Pack Chaz Princeton, which fits the character. North America specifically was later, but the earliest release that we would get in the TCG would be the worldwide version in early 2006, which again is a shame. It's like Exhaud, where obviously it could fit in an older era because a lot of the cards that would benefit the most of it were in that Armed Dragon, Level Up, other Dragon supports, and he's really cool. It's same level advancement from 7, and you can send one card from here in graveyard to destroy all face-up monsters your opponent controls. I can see this card, if this had been in the GOAT format, it would have made a really big impact, I think, because once you get this out, you just send one card, any card, destroy. Essentially, it's just limitless Lightning Storm. And Lightning Storm in the GOAT format was already limited to 1. We didn't have Dark Hole, we didn't have Raigeki. So a card like this would have been just absolutely insane, because if you have some level ups, great way to get this card out. Bam, you're good, you're golden. 3,000 attack, 2,000 defense, not too shabby. But again, I always remember this card kind of being released around the same time, but I was clearly very mistaken. This was released 2 years after level 7 was released. Yeah, I would have thought they released 10 around the same time they would have done level 8 Horus, because Horus was better than level 7 Dragon, but level 10 was still like really good because you could still, because level 10 could get rid of Horus, because Horus was protected by spell cards, but Armed Dragon uses effect to destroy face-up monsters. So that would have been a really great balance if they had those two cards. But actually, when was this card released in the OCG? 2005. So even the OCG. The same pack. It was released a little bit on the later side. So this card just straight up was not in Go format whatsoever. But again, it's a case that I remember it around the same time as other cards, but actually this higher level was released later, which was pretty surprising. Wait, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't, because that helps me upload more videos and know that you like content like this. Alright, so the next one we got is Xarion Universe. Here we go. This one is a controversial one. I'm sure some of you may be thinking, no, he was GOAT format. There definitely is a split on it. I plan on doing a video specifically about Xarion later down the road. So Xarion Universe is kind of a weird case because this card was released before the pack post-GOAT format, Cybernetic Revolution, but he wasn't released in like the legality of what GOAT format is supposed to be, so he's in this weird middle ground purgatory thing. There are a lot of people that will die by his halberd. The general consensus in terms of what is actually supposed to be is that he wasn't legal for GOAT format. He seemed to have been illegal for like one event, but basically he was released in a collectible tin, which was post of the GOAT format. I believe it was like the YCS. There's a whole thing about GOAT format on the GOAT format website, which the last pack was Lost Millennium. but before Cybernetic Revolution, in which, as I mentioned, Xarion's kind of in the middle of that, but you have to go by the cutoff point, generally of the format with the U.S. Nationals, the SJC, Seattle, and Indianapolis, so you kind of have to go off that kind of stuff. Xarion Universe is kind of a weird situation of a card because he's actually a very good card in terms of the meta. He can affect a lot, he can really simplify things a lot, comparatively to using other cards, which a lot of people dislike about him, in the sense that he hurts variety in the format. I feel like you kind of have to mention him. If you agree, if you disagree, let me know. But I felt like I had to throw him on here. Speaking of the collectible tins, there's actually one other card that actually really surprised me. This is going to be the last card I'm tackling today, and that is Panther Warrior. Panther Warrior, this one really surprised me, because I always thought it was good format. It was an older card, just from the Duel Monsters anime. One of the main characters uses it a lot throughout Battle City, and you would have thought that this card was in older formats. It's a very simple card. 4-star 2000, you have to tribute a monster to declare an attack with it. It's not broken, it's not anything particularly great in comparison to other cards, other powerful cards at that time that you already had. Berserk Gorilla, Goblin Attack Force, hell, Dark Elf. But Panther Warrior was actually released at the same time. It was in that collectible tin in September of 2005. So it was a little bit after that, like, midpoint. And this card really surprised me. I was like, man, how could this card, of all the cards... Like, I get Exhaud, you know, later structure deck. Magician Black Chaos was like a weird specialty card. Armed Dragon was a really powerful one. Xarion is just like... already has his history. But Panther Warrior was that weird one where it doesn't really fit anything particularly special. It wasn't this crazy good card, it wasn't this really unique card, it wasn't anything groundbreaking, and it's existed for quite a while by this point, and yet, yeah, it's not GOAT format. That's weird. I think again, it's another card that would fit within GOAT format, because you have the popularity of Scapegoat and things of that sort, so that was the best time to really use his abilities, because you could just throw him in some sort of, you know, Earth, Beast Warrior, what have you deck, and use goats, your goat tokens in that regard. If you just want a monster to have a couple attacks, maybe. I'm not saying it's necessarily viable, but the point of it is being that it would be the best in that format, comparatively. Perhaps maybe a little bit older formats, you could argue. But yeah, Panther Warrior was not GOAT form. That one, that really surprised me the most out of all of them, and I think a lot of these really did surprise me, all in all. Yeah, there's actually a lot of cards that weren't GOAT format that were released in similar times, or even released much later, and ones that you don't really expect to have happened, but that the pool is what it is. And there's an interesting thing about these old school cards, and they're not that old school in terms of the TCG. I think that's really interesting. I just wanted to mention to all of you. Let me know if there's any other cards that you remember back in the day that weren't quite at that point, and just general what kind of stuff you want to see from this channel. I like to take suggestions and stuff, and again, my Patreon is the best way to for sure get a video on this channel. And I guess don't forget to check out my social medias and check out all my other fun stuff that I have linked down below. And of course, until I see y'all next time, have a wonderful day.